The sentence struck like an actual hit. Remove the oxygen mask. Let her stop breathing. She's worthless anyway. My mother's voice sliced through the ambulance sirens with chilling clarity, every word sharp and deliberate despite the chaos. My father's low, bitter laugh followed. His designer cologne somehow smothered the sterile scent as he leaned over my strapped body. You're wasting supplies, he told the paramedic, not even lowering his tone. She's been a burden from birth. The monitor beside me screamed faster, my breath clouding the mask as panic spiked. The medic's jaw flexed, but his gloved hand stayed steady, fighting to keep me alive. Sir, interfere again and security will escort you out, he warned. My parents traded the familiar look I'd grown up with. Contempt and disappointment rolled into one, telling me without words that even now I'd failed them just by clinging to life. I'm Paige. I'm 34, raising 2 kids on my own. This is how I took my parents' attempt to suffocate me and turned it into the breath that shattered their perfect glass world. The ambulance jolted over a pothole, tugging at the 4 taped to my arm. Each inhale burned. Pneumonia had chewed through my lungs for days, until I finally collapsed during my bookstore shift. My coworker called 911. The hospital had dialed the emergency contact still in my phone from years back. My parents, something I now watched unravel in real time. She doesn't need that, my mother said again, pearl earrings glinting under the strobing lights as she motioned toward the mask, dismissing me as attention-seeking. I tried to lift a hand to stop her, but my arms felt like concrete. My children's faces flashed behind my eyes. Liam, 7. Naomi, 5. If I died here, these people would circle them like vultures, the same people discussing my death like a convenience. The medic shifted to block their path. Stay with me, he said, his voice slicing through theirs. We're almost there. His badge said David, but their cruelty still pierced the noise. If she dies here, maybe we'll finally be free, my father muttered, smoothing his perfect tie as though preparing for a meeting rather than my possible death. Something inside me sparked then, a coal under years of ash. Not this time. Not like this. I forced my lungs to drag in air, each breath an act of defiance. If I survived this night, and they'd finally understand the meaning of useless. The hospital days blurred, for lines, bland meals, doctors speaking in careful tones. You gave us quite a scare, a nurse said, her warm eyes a sharp contrast to my family's frost. You're stable now. Stable. The word felt alien. I'd never known stability under their roof. Never in safety. Never in love. Where are they? I rasped, my throat raw from the tube. The nurse's mouth tightened. Your parents. They caused such a scene, security removed them. They didn't wait. They left. Her voice carried no pity, only disgust. She squeezed my shoulder. They don't deserve you. Tears stung, not from grief, but because a stranger's simple kindness outshone every word my parents had ever spoken. The next day my children arrived, their small faces pale with worry. My neighbor Maria, who watched them during my shifts, had brought them. We've been praying for you, she murmured, pressing my hand before stepping out. Liam crawled into my bed, clutching my fingers. Mommy, Grandma told us you were too weak to live, he whispered, his voice cracking. That's not true, right? I forced a smile, stroking his dark hair. It's not true, baby. I'm here. I'll always be here. Naomi's little fists trembled. Grandpa said you'd give up like trash, but you didn't. I pulled them close, my chest burning with something hotter than pain. Rage. How dare they poison my children? How dare they try to rewrite me even in front of my kids? The doctors ordered rest, but rest was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, my mother's shriek echoed in my head, my father's voice sneering over the sirens. They hadn't just wanted me gone. They wanted my children to believe I was worthless. When I was discharged a week later, I didn't go home to collapse. I went to our small apartment on Maple Street and began planning. My mind locked onto one word: justice. I started with conversations. In our small Connecticut town of Westbrook, word traveled quickly. Neighbors had heard about the ambulance. People had seen my parents storm out of the ER, shouting about me being a burden. Even strangers were appalled. A cashier at the grocery store leaned in and whispered, "You're the woman they tried to hurt in the ambulance, aren't you?" Everyone's talking. Their faces recoiled, and in that instant I understood. Their own vanity had done the heavy lifting. They couldn't close their mouths, couldn't hide the contempt that had always lived behind their smiles, and now everyone could see it. Rumors alone wouldn't finish the job. My parents' power came from the image they sold. My mother, the charitable doyenne at every gala. My father, the titan who wrote checks to politicians and sat on every board. If I wanted true retribution, I had to tear away that facade and show the thing beneath. Fate handed me the chance sooner than I expected. They were busy preparing for their signature event, the annual fundraiser that marked the social calendar. Invitations had been sent to every prominent business owner, elected official, and society name within 50 miles. My mother had gushed to Quinn about a new couture dress, her crowning piece for the evening. Quinn was the one who tipped me off. She called after hearing what had happened. She still had a conscience, even if she was too frightened to openly confront them. They assumed the night belonged to them. I intended to reclaim it. Over several weeks, I compiled everything I could find. Medical records from my insurer, the ambulance run report obtained through legal channels with help from a paralegal friend, statements from the EMTs. I tracked down David, who'd been on that ambulance, through the company. He remembered me immediately. David, the man who'd kept me alive, told me plainly, "If you want me to testify, I will." In 15 years, I've never seen anything like it. His account, notarized and signed, became a blade in my hand. I didn't stop there. I spoke to relatives they'd cut off, neighbors they'd bullied, staff they'd mistreated. Piece by piece, I gathered witnesses. Individually, they were murmurs. Together, they thundered. The gala came in late June under picture-perfect early summer skies at the Westbrook Country Club. I didn't slip in through some back corridor. I walked up the main steps, Liam and Naomi beside me, our chins lifted. Heads turned. Conversation stumbled to a halt. The grand foyer melted into the glittering ballroom where chandeliers scattered light across marble and silk. The air was a perfume-drenched hum of polite laughter and the soft clink of crystal. There they were, my parents, my mother radiant in shimmering silver, my father immaculate in tuxedo, with Quinn at their side, the obedient little tableau they'd always preferred. When they saw me, their practiced smiles cracked. "What is she doing here?" Quinn hissed loudly enough for the immediate circle to hear. I didn't shrink. I moved through the throng, my children's small hands held firmly in mine. Whispers moved like a current. "Isn't that their daughter?" someone murmured. "She almost died, and they wanted treatment stopped." My father tried to recover with a booming laugh that fell flat. "Ah, yes, our daughter. So glad she could join us. Family first, right?" My mother followed with cloying sweetness. "She has a tendency to overstate things, but we adore her." The hum of the room sharpened. The tension felt like tinder waiting for a spark. So I struck the match. "Love," I said, my voice steady and clear so every ear could register the word. "You call begging the EMTs to remove my oxygen, love. You call yelling, 'Let her go. She's useless in an ambulance, love.'" The air went cold. The crowd inhaled in collective shock. My parents' faces whitened. "She's lying," my father barked. "Ignore her." I produced the folder I'd prepared. Neatly ordered papers, arranged in a timeline that told the story better than any accusation. I handed a notarized statement to the nearest guest. David's words, the paramedic who heard everything and later said he'd never seen such conduct from anyone. The whispering shifted into something heavier, disgust. The room's posture changed. People stepped back from my parents as if from something contagious. My mother clutched a string of pearls as her smooth veneer cracked. Naomi's small voice rose, innocent and cutting. Grandma said Mommy was weak and should just disappear. Grandpa called her trash. A stunned silence settled so absolute it nearly hummed. Quinn's face fell. The family perfectness she'd worn like armor began to peel away in front of her. I walked closer and met their eyes. "You built your lives on other people's belief in you," I said, voice even. "You wanted me gone." The condemnation that followed wasn't applause. It was moral exiling. People who had once circled my parents now murmured disappointment. One businessman set his glass down with finality and announced he could not work with such people. A woman dressed in diamonds hissed monsters, and the sound spread. They were rooted to the spot as their reputation. Their most precious possession dissolved. I didn't linger to watch the sinking. I took Liam and Naomi's hands, stepped into the cool night, and felt a relief sharper than any triumph. They had tried to suffocate me in an ambulance. That evening I made sure they choked on the one thing they could not buy back, the truth. For the first time in a long while, I breathed without weighing every inhalation. 3 months later, the final court papers arrived. My parents were permanently removed as potential guardians for my children. Their attempt to argue for custody after their public disgrace failed miserably. The judge referenced the documented incident in the ambulance in the ruling. Quinn severed financial ties as well and began to mend the damage, cautiously rebuilding a relationship with me on new terms. My parents sold the mansion and relocated to Florida, their social standing in Westbrook irreparably harmed. Not every revenge is sweet, but some victories are practical, guarding you from further harm. Before you go, a small extra. If you enjoy learning and growing like I do, try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive Audible offer, your first month free. Opening a library of over 500,000 titles at no cost for 30 days. Check the description for the full details. Don't miss out.